Sick joke blared the dire headline in the New York Post this week. You know, that's where we get all of our important economic news from the tabloid New York Post. Successful New Yorkers would pay 57% mega tax under Obamacare.
Those in the top tax brackets have a right to be spooked, perhaps not as much as the New York Post would have you guess, but the income surtax to pay for House Democrats' health care bill would start at 1% for couples making $350,000. It would jump to 1.5% above $500,000 of income before leaping to 5.4% for people making more than $1 million.
Dan Mitchell is a senior fellow with the Cato Institute. Chuck Collins is co-founder of Wealth for the Common Good. He's also a rich guy who wants to be taxed, saying tax the wealthy so everyone else is healthy. Funny because the rich are the new tobacco. In the 80s, when times are tough, you'd tax tobacco. Nobody would complain about it.
Yeah, there's nobody to stand up on the other side except a few lobbyists.
Yeah, and now it's tax the rich. You know, Chuck, you say, bring it on, I want to pay.
Yep, I think that this is a important issue for a lot of our Wealth for the Common Good members. They feel it's a small price to pay for a much broader health insurance that will cover those 50 million people that have no health insurance.
Matter of interest, are there a lot of your Common Good members who would be subject to the tax?
Absolutely. We have an online petition that we're asking people who will pay the tax, who want to reverse the Bush tax cuts of the last 10 years, and then make those investments in health care and energy independence. And these are folks who are part of, I think, a silent majority.
Let me just ask you again, because there's no, hang on a second, there's no majority of people who would be subject to this tax. It is a very small portion of people. Are there members of yours who would be subject to these types of proposals about taxing people who earn over $250,000 each or $350,000 a couple, who would say, I would be willing to do that?
Yeah, so we have hundreds of people who've signed on to this public petition, and more are signing on, and we're gathering that right now. What I was saying is the silent majority of people who will pay this tax actually don't resent it. I mean, this will sound strange, but this is a group, those of us in the top 1%, have got a $700 billion tax cut, thanks to George Bush. Many of us didn't ask for it. Many of us were embarrassed to be getting tax cuts while other members of our country were going to war and making enormous sacrifices. This is a time of national sacrifice. We urgently need to address the health care situation.
Dan Mitchell from Cato Institute, you disagree, and there are some on the right and libertarians who are saying, like, look, this smacks of redistribution of wealth. This smacks of socialism, taking from one part of society to pay. Although you could argue that the entire tax code, tax code it does. But you know, what do you think about this? About taxing the rich for health care?
Well, it's almost beyond parody to listen to someone who inherited a lot of money say, let's tax the rich. This is pulling up the ladder so that other people can't become rich. As far as I'm concerned, what we need to focus on is what are the policies that are going to make America more prosperous. And going down this path toward 1970-style tax and spend big government is a recipe to make our economy more like France. If taxing the so-called rich was such a successful policy, why is America so much richer than France? We definitely do not want to punish success in this country. I want more rich people. I don't want fewer rich people, and I certainly don't want people who inherited wealth trying to stop middle-class people from climbing the economic ladder.
Hey, Chuck, you inherited. How did you inherit your money? He's talking about your inherited wealth. Just tell us quickly how you inherited your money.
Well, I'm the great-grandson of Oscar Mayer, but I should say that a lot of our Wealth for the Common Good members are entrepreneurs. There are people like Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, Warren Buffett, others who are entrepreneurs. They don't resent capitalism. They love this country. They love the amazing system for wealth creation. We also want to encourage wealth creation, but what we believe is a healthy capitalism has a healthy safety net. And if we have long overdue investments, not just in healthcare, but education, energy independence. If we want to be a competitive country, if we want to have the next generation of millionaires and billionaires come up the ladder and come from all the walks of society, we need to make these long overdue investments.
Dan, let me ask you
Where's
something.
the money going to come from?
I understand that it's a slippery slope, Dan, and right now we're talking about 1%, 5%, 5.4% for those earning over $1 million. And I suppose once you go down this road, you can start taxing people for all sorts of things. But why would that? You made a comment that it's going to prevent more people from being rich. I think there's nothing wrong with rich people. Why would this prevent more people from becoming rich?
because marginal tax rates are a price of earning income and becoming more productive and more successful. And if you're already rich, if you're Warren Buffett, by all means, raise tax rates. You already have all your money and all your lawyers and lobbyists and accountants. You can figure out how to game the system.
But if I earn $280,000, which is the bottom line for this one, if I earn $280,000 or more, by American standards, I'm rich.
By American standards, you're probably in the top 5%.
Right.
But the key thing is we want more people to become rich. And look at France. France has the kind of policies
I'm going to tell you,
that these guilt-ridden
France a few
liberals are in
times.
favor of.
Sanjay Gupta will often tell us that if you have a heart attack, you want to be in the United States because it's got the best treatment. If you don't want to have a heart attack, the French healthcare system keeps you healthier. So, we are talking about healthcare. I think there are a lot of people who'd say there's some things about it that they'd rather be in France for. I'm not sure France is the example that you want to be using here.
Okay, yes, it is an example. It's an example of big government leading to economic stagnation. The per capita GDP, the living standards in France are 30 to 40% below America. Now, if I inherited the Oscar Mayer fortune, I wouldn't care maybe if 30 to 40% of the ordinary people's income disappeared. But I think it's an outrage that a bunch of limousine liberals are going to put in place policies that don't affect them because they have all the accountants and the lawyers, but are going to affect middle-class people who want to climb the economic ladder. And the real outrage is that we're going to put in place these taxes in order to have a bunch of politicians start denying us the ability to get our family health care.
We have to leave it there before Allie and I start singing the Oscar Mayer jingle, which we're going to do as soon as we go to break.
Or I cancel my trip to France, where I'm on my way to.
He's on his way
You're
to
wrecking
France
it for me,
now,
Dan.
You know, I tell you, but I have a feeling that's because my theory that indeed the rich is the new tobacco, we're going to be discussing this some more.
Let's have you both back on. I appreciate the passion that you both bring to this thing. We're going to need it over the course of the next few months. Chuck Collins is co-founder of Wealth for the Common Good, senior scholar at the Institute for Policy Studies. Dan Mitchell is senior fellow at the Cato Institute, both of them bringing strong opposing views to this issue.